Ethan stepped off the small shuttle onto the alien colony, feeling the uneven ground beneath his boots. The air smelled faintly metallic, yet oddly sweet, and a faint, pulsating glow lit the landscape around him. Towering plants with translucent stems and golden veins swayed gently, though there was no wind. Streams of liquid shimmered in colors Ethan had never seen, flowing in smooth, impossible patterns across the colony's surface. He adjusted his helmet and surveyed the area. This was his mission, to repair the colony's failing water system. On Earth, laying pipes was routine, almost boring. Here, however, nothing was routine. The colony's infrastructure was alive in ways Ethan didn't yet understand. Pipes seemed to move slightly when he wasn't looking directly at them. Crystalline conduits hummed faintly, as if aware of his presence. "Welcome to Veridia Prime," a voice said. Ethan turned toward it and saw a figure approaching. The alien was slender, with limbs that seemed longer than necessary, skin that reflected the ambient light like liquid silver, and eyes that glowed softly. The alien held a thin device in one hand, scanning the ground as they walked. "I'm Lyra," the alien said, her voice melodic but firm. "You're here to lay the pipes. I hope you understand this is unlike anything you've done on Earth." Ethan forced a smile. "I've laid a lot of pipes," he said, but even he could hear the uncertainty in his own voice. "But I guess none were alive." Lyra's eyes flickered like a silent laugh. "Some of them are, some respond to our touch, some respond to energy, some respond only when paired with others. If you make a mistake, the system can fail or worse, react unpredictably." Ethan swallowed. "All right, show me where to start." Lyra led him toward the central hub of the water system. The hub was massive, made of intertwined crystalline and metallic structures that pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Pipes branched from the hub in every direction, some flat and rigid, some twisting and flexible, and some translucent with a liquid glowing inside them. Ethan could see faint lines of energy moving along some pipes, almost like veins. "These are your pipes," Lyra said. "Some carry water, some energy, some carry both. You have to figure out which goes where. Start by studying the patterns, then test carefully. Don't rush." Ethan knelt beside one of the translucent pipes, running a gloved hand along its smooth surface. It pulsed lightly under his touch, as if sensing him. He frowned. On Earth, pipes didn't react. Here, even the simplest action seemed to have consequences. He started methodically, examining each pipe in the hub. Some resonated when tapped, producing a low hum that varied in pitch. Others seemed inert, but Ethan noticed faint energy ripples in the air around them. He made notes in his datapad, sketching patterns and marking observations. Hours passed. Ethan had laid the first segment of the pipe network, connecting smaller sections near the hub. He carefully tested each connection. Some flowed perfectly. Others caused a brief surge of energy that shimmered through the pipes. Every time a pipe pulsed or glowed unexpectedly, his heart leapt. He realized that one wrong connection could send a surge through the entire colony. Lyra observed silently, occasionally pointing out subtle cues Ethan might have missed. "That pipe is sensitive to pressure," she said at one point. "Not all pipes are the same. Watch how they respond to touch." Ethan nodded, feeling both challenged and intrigued. He had never worked with a system that seemed alive. It was as if the colony itself was watching him, testing him. Around midday, a small crowd of aliens gathered, watching silently as Ethan worked. Some had curious eyes, others seemed cautious. Ethan tried to focus on his work, ignoring the stares. Yet he couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility. These were not just machines, they were the lifeblood of the colony. If he failed, the consequences could be catastrophic. As he connected a particularly tricky section, he hesitated. Two pipes looked almost identical, but one pulsed faintly under his touch while the other did not. He paused, recalling Lyra's warning. Some pipes only activate when paired correctly. Ethan decided to trust his intuition. He connected the pulsing pipe first, then carefully linked the other. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the pipe network erupted in a soft glow, sending shimmering liquid flowing in all directions. Ethan jumped back, his heart pounding. The aliens gasped and whispered among themselves. Lyra's eyes widened slightly and she stepped forward. You activated a hidden section, she said. I didn't expect that. Most humans would have ignored it entirely. Ethan scratched the back of his head, feeling a mix of pride and anxiety. I didn't mean to, it just seemed right. Lyra smiled faintly. Sometimes human intuition can succeed where logic alone fails. But be careful. The pipes are alive in ways you don't yet understand. They will test you. The glow faded, leaving the newly revealed pipes gently shimmering. Ethan knelt to examine them. They were different from the others, thicker, more complex, and clearly designed to carry both water and energy. He realized that his job was no longer just laying pipes. He had to understand them, communicate with them, and anticipate how they would react. That evening, after connecting another section near the colony's main reservoir, Ethan sat on the edge of the platform and looked out over the alien landscape. Streams of glowing liquid wound through the colony like veins, pulsing softly. It was beautiful, mesmerizing even. He felt a strange connection to the place, as if the pipes themselves were acknowledging his efforts. Lyra joined him, her eyes reflecting the ambient glow. You are learning quickly, she said. Most humans would have failed by now. Ethan shrugged. I'm not sure if I'm learning quickly or if I'm just lucky, she chuckled softly. Luck helps, but understanding helps more. Pay attention and you will succeed. Suddenly, a soft tremor ran through the ground. Ethan froze, watching as some of the pipes near the reservoir pulsed violently. Lyra's expression hardened. The energy beneath the planet is shifting. It's minor now, but you must be careful. If the pipes are not laid correctly, the flow could reverse, causing damage or flooding. Ethan nodded, adrenaline kicking in. He moved quickly, checking connections, feeling for subtle vibrations, and observing the reactions of each pipe. His hands moved with purpose, guided by both experience and instinct. The pulses slowly stabilized and the pipes returned to their gentle glow. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. You have potential, human. Keep this focus and you will master the network. But remember, every pipe matters. Even the smallest segment can have consequences. Ethan exhaled, feeling the weight of her words. He understood now that this mission was more than engineering. It was a test of patience, observation, and respect for something greater than himself. By nightfall, the colony was quiet, the pipes softly pulsing under the alien sky. Ethan reviewed his progress, noting the pipes he had laid, the patterns he had observed, and the sections that still needed attention. He realized that while the task was daunting, it was also thrilling. For the first time in his life, he was not just following instructions. He was learning to listen, to interpret, and to act in harmony with an entirely new form of life. As he prepared to rest, Ethan felt a mix of exhaustion and excitement. He had survived the first day, but he knew this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, he would face more choices, more pipes, and more tests. And while he was uncertain about what lay ahead, he also felt a spark of confidence. For the first time, Ethan understood that laying pipes on Viridia Prime was not about moving water or energy. It was about understanding life, patterns, and connection. It was about becoming part of something larger than himself, and proving that a human could rise to the challenge. He glanced at the softly glowing pipes stretching across the colony and whispered to himself, I laid them, but I still don't know which pipe did what. Lyra's laugh floated from the shadows. Don't worry, you will learn, and one day you will see the pipes for what they truly are, not just conduits but partners. Ethan smiled, feeling the weight of the day lift slightly. The journey had only begun, but for the first time, he believed he could meet whatever challenges Viridia Prime had in store. Ethan woke to the faint glow of the alien dawn. the soft hum of the pipes filling the air like a quiet song. The first day had taught him much, but the real challenge was still ahead. Today, he had to face the heart of the colony's system, a sprawling network of pipes stretching deep into the living terrain. The pipes weren't just conduits, they were delicate, reactive, and unpredictable. One wrong choice could trigger a surge or block the colony's vital flows. Lyra met him at the hub. Her eyes reflected a calm determination, and she gestured toward a set of pipes that shimmered faintly. "The energy storm is approaching," she said. "If we do not align these correctly, the network could fail. Today, your choices matter more than ever." Ethan swallowed. The words were serious, but he felt a thrill of anticipation. He had come this far, learning the subtle language of the pipes, feeling their pulses, noticing the differences in their vibrations. He trusted his instincts, but now those instincts would be tested like never before. He knelt beside the first section. These pipes were longer, more intricate, and some were partially translucent, showing flowing liquid that seemed to ripple in response to touch. He gently pressed his hand against one, feeling a slight warmth. The pipe vibrated, a low hum that rose and fell like a heartbeat. He glanced at Lyra. "They respond to touch, yes," she said, "but not all respond the same. Some require pairing, some require pressure. You must find the balance." Ethan nodded. He started with the simplest connections, carefully observing the reactions. Each pipe seemed to communicate subtly, a soft pulse, a brief glow, or a change in vibration. He learned to interpret these signals. Some connections flowed perfectly, creating a calm hum that reassured him. Others responded unpredictably, causing small flashes of light or sudden surges. Each reaction taught him more about the system, its needs, and its patterns. As the morning passed, Ethan faced a particularly tricky section. Several pipes appeared almost identical, yet their reactions were different. He pressed his hands against each, noting which pulsed in sync with the others. His mind worked quickly, comparing vibrations, noting energy flows, and testing connections. Every move required focus and careful judgment. A single mistake could disrupt the balance, and the energy storm was drawing closer. At one point, a pipe suddenly surged violently, sending a pulse of glowing liquid shooting upward. Ethan leapt back, heart racing. The aliens nearby gasped, but no one panicked. Lyra stepped forward, her hand brushing the pipe. It calmed immediately. "The pipes are testing you," she said. "They react not just to touch, but to confidence, hesitation, and timing. Do not rush." Ethan took a deep breath. He realized that laying pipes here was not just about engineering, it was about understanding, intuition, and connection. His hands moved carefully, guided by instinct and observation. Slowly, the section stabilized and the flow of energy became steady. A soft, rhythmic glow ran through the pipes, signaling success. By midday, the storm was visible on the horizon, a swirling mass of color and energy, moving faster than any earthly storm. Ethan felt the pressure intensify. Each pipe he laid now carried greater risk. The aliens had begun to move protective barriers, but the system's heart required human focus and precision. Lyra watched closely, occasionally offering subtle guidance, pointing out which pipe needed more pressure, which one needed pairing. Ethan approached the central junction of the network. This was the most critical part. A complex tangle of pipes, crystalline veins, and living conduits wound together in an almost artistic pattern. Energy flowed unpredictably, sometimes reversing, sometimes surging. He knew that if he could align this correctly, the colony would be safe. If he failed, the entire network might collapse. He knelt and laid his hands on the junction. The pipes pulsed in response, some violently, some gently. Ethan closed his eyes and focused. He remembered the lessons of the first day, the subtle vibrations, the pulses of heat, the faint glows that hinted at correct pairings. Slowly, he began to make connections, testing each segment with care. His movements were deliberate, almost like a dance. Hours passed. The storm drew closer, and the air vibrated with its energy. Ethan felt his energy waning, but he refused to stop. Sweat dripped down his face as he worked, matching the flow of energy through the pipes, aligning pressures and pairing segments. Occasionally, a pipe would surge violently, forcing him to adjust instantly, but he persisted, guided by intuition and observation. Suddenly, a section of pipes glowed brighter than the rest. Ethan froze. The pattern was unfamiliar, different from anything he had encountered before. He realized that this part of the network was sentient in a higher way. It responded to creativity and problem-solving. It required more than skill. It required understanding the flow of the colony itself. He studied the pipes, noting subtle shifts in vibration and light. He experimented carefully, connecting one segment, then another, adjusting pressure and timing. The pipes responded slowly at first, then with increasing harmony. Ethan felt a rush of exhilaration. He was learning, truly learning, the language of this alien system. Lyra watched silently, a hint of pride in her eyes. "Most humans would have panicked," she said softly. "You are beginning to understand." The pipes recognized that. The storm hit just as Ethan connected the final segment of this critical junction. Thunderous energy cascaded across the horizon, lightning-like pulses of color streaking the sky. The ground trembled and streams of liquid rippled violently. Ethan braced himself, adjusting the pressure on the pipes, watching their reactions. For a tense moment, nothing seemed to work. Then, slowly, the pipes stabilized. Energy flowed steadily through the network, water and energy moving in harmony. The colony was safe. The pipes glowed gently, as if acknowledging Ethan's efforts. The storm raged outside, but inside the hub, everything remained calm. The aliens gathered around him, their expressions a mix of awe and relief. Lyra stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have done what few humans could. You have mastered not just the mechanics, but the flow, the balance, and the intelligence of the system. You have earned their trust." Ethan exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at the pipes, glowing softly, and felt a sense of connection he had never known. They were no longer just tools, they were partners, living elements of the colony that had accepted him. As night fell, Ethan reviewed his work, checking every connection, every flow. The storm had passed, leaving the colony intact and thriving. For the first time, he felt truly proud. Not just of his skill, but of his ability to adapt, to learn, and to respect a system far beyond anything he had known. Lyra stood beside him, watching the softly pulsing pipes. "Tomorrow," she said, "we will continue to extend the network to the outer reaches of the colony. The pipes will challenge you further, but I have no doubt you are ready." Ethan smiled faintly. "I think I'm starting to understand them, but I still don't know if I'll ever fully know which pipe does what." Lyra laughed softly, the sound like chimes in the glowing night. "That is the beauty of it. Some things are meant to be understood, not known. Trust, observation, and patience. That is how you work with life, not just machines." Ethan nodded, feeling a deep sense of connection to the colony, the pipes, and the alien people who had trusted him. The first true test had passed, but he knew more challenges awaited. Tomorrow, the outer network, more complex and unpredictable, would demand his full attention. Yet, for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. He lay down on a platform overlooking the softly glowing pipes, the alien sky above him vibrant with colors he couldn't name. The hum of the pipes was like a lullaby, and he felt the pulse of the colony beneath him. It was alive, responsive, and in harmony, and somehow he was part of it. For the first time in his life, Ethan understood that engineering was not just about systems, mechanics, or flow. It was about connection, respect, and learning to listen to the world around you. And as he drifted into a restless sleep, he knew tomorrow would push him even further. But he was ready. The morning on Veridia Prime was quiet, almost deceptively calm. The storm from the previous day had passed, leaving a soft haze over the glowing rivers and pulsating vegetation. Ethan stood at the edge of the central hub, stretching his arms and rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Today, he would face the outer sections of the colony's network, the most complex and unpredictable part. If he succeeded, the entire system would operate in perfect harmony. If he failed, it could cause cascading failures across the colony. Lyra appeared beside him, her eyes bright with cautious optimism. Today, you will complete the network. This is the final challenge. Many humans would be overwhelmed, but I believe you are ready. Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and tension. The first 2 days had taught him the language of the pipes, their pulses, vibrations, and subtle cues, but nothing could have prepared him for the complexity of the outer network. It was vast, stretching into cliffs, valleys, and forests of alien flora that seemed to grow in impossible patterns. Pipes twisted around the roots of glowing plants, flowed through crystalline tunnels, and merged with streams of liquid that shimmered in every color imaginable. As he began, Ethan noticed the immediate difference. The outer pipes reacted more strongly, pulsing violently at first contact. Some seemed almost sentient, resisting his attempts to connect them in predictable ways. He adjusted his approach, carefully observing each pipe's response, testing small segments and noting subtle changes in vibration and light. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, casting strange, shifting shadows across the network. Ethan's hands moved almost automatically, guided by instinct and the careful observations he had made over the previous 2 days. The pipes seemed to test him at every turn, some reacting with bursts of light, others with faint surges that threatened to destabilize the network. At one point, Ethan reached a particularly difficult junction. 3 massive pipes twisted together like the roots of an ancient tree. Each seemed to have a distinct personality. One thrummed steadily, another pulsed erratically, and the third glowed softly with a warm, almost inviting light. Ethan studied them carefully, noting the subtle differences in vibration and energy flow. He recalled Lyra's advice. Some pipes respond to pressure, some to pairing, some to timing. Observe and adapt. Ethan took a deep breath. He connected the first pipe, adjusting pressure and watching its reaction. It pulsed rhythmically, syncing with his own movements. He connected the second, carefully aligning it with the first. The pipes vibrated together, creating a harmonious flow. Finally, he approached the third. Hesitation flickered across his mind, but he trusted his instincts. He placed it in position, adjusted the flow, and waited. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the pipes pulsed in perfect harmony. Energy flowed through them smoothly, water moving in balanced currents. The junction stabilized, glowing softly with a steady rhythm. Ethan exhaled, feeling a surge of relief and pride. He had done it, but the challenge was far from over. The outer network extended further than he had imagined, and the pipes grew more unpredictable. Some were partially buried under glowing soil, others intertwined with alien plants that seemed to react to his presence. He moved carefully, adjusting connections, testing flows, and observing each reaction. Lyra followed closely, offering guidance only when necessary. "Remember," she said, "the network is alive. It will test your patience, your focus, and your understanding. But it will also recognize skill and intuition." As the day wore on, Ethan encountered several moments of intense difficulty. One section surged violently when connected, sending a cascade of glowing liquid through the tunnels. Ethan leapt back, adjusting pressure and realigning the pipes. Another section required pairing 3 different conduits in a precise rhythm, something he had never attempted before. He experimented cautiously, feeling the subtle pulses and vibrations, until finally the pipes responded, glowing in perfect sync. By late afternoon, Ethan had completed most of the outer network. Only a few critical sections remained, including a series of living conduits that flowed through a dense forest of glowing plants. These pipes seemed more sentient than any he had encountered, reacting unpredictably to touch, energy, and even hesitation. He knelt beside the first of these conduits, placing his hands on the smooth surface. It pulsed strongly, almost as if aware of his presence. Ethan adjusted his grip, feeling the rhythm and responding with care. Slowly, the pipe began to sync with him, its pulse matching his movements. He connected the next section, watching for any signs of instability. The pipes responded with soft glows, guiding him through the network. Time seemed to blur. Ethan worked tirelessly, connecting, testing, and adjusting. His body ached, but his mind was fully focused. He felt a deep connection to the network, sensing its flows, its pulses, and its subtle messages. He realized that this was more than engineering. It was communication, understanding, and partnership. Finally, Ethan reached the last junction, a massive crystalline structure where multiple pipes converged. This section was critical. It regulated the flow of water and energy to the entire colony. Any mistake here could destabilize the network. He studied the pipes carefully, noting their vibrations, light patterns, and subtle cues. He took a deep breath and began connecting the segments, one by one. The pipes pulsed in response, sometimes erratically, sometimes smoothly. Ethan adjusted pressure, timing, and alignment with precision, guided by the understanding he had gained over the past days. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The pipes resisted, tested, and challenged him at every step. Ethan's hands moved automatically, guided by intuition and careful observation. Finally, with the last connection in place, the junction pulsed gently, energy and water flowing perfectly. Ethan exhaled, his body trembling with exhaustion and relief. He had done it. The network was complete. Energy flowed smoothly, water moved in perfect harmony, and the colony's vital systems were stable. The pipes glowed softly, almost like a quiet acknowledgement of his efforts. The aliens gathered around him, their expressions a mixture of awe and gratitude. Lyra approached, her eyes bright with pride. "You have done what few humans could," she said. "You have not only laid the pipes, but you have understood them. You have earned the trust of the colony." Ethan smiled faintly, feeling the weight of the moment. He had come to Veridia Prime expecting a simple engineering task, but he had discovered something far greater. He had learned to communicate with a living system, to understand patterns and flows, and to adapt in ways he had never imagined. As night fell, the colony shimmered with a soft glow. Streams of liquid flowed through the pipes, energy pulsed gently, and the alien landscape seemed alive with quiet harmony. Ethan sat on a platform, looking over the network he had completed. For the first time, he felt a deep sense of connection to this world, a world that was strange, challenging, and beautiful. Lyra sat beside him, her eyes reflecting the glow of the pipes. "You have proven that humans can rise to challenges beyond their own worlds," she said. "Your skills, patience, and understanding have saved this colony. You are part of this network now, whether you realize it or not." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "I never imagined laying pipes could be like this," he said softly. Lyra laughed. "It is never just pipes. It is life, connection, and understanding. You have done well." As they watched the colony together, Ethan realized that this mission had changed him. He had learned to trust his instincts, to observe carefully, and to respect systems far beyond his own experience. He had faced challenges that tested his patience, skill, and courage, and he had prevailed. For the first time in his life, Ethan understood that being human was not just about knowledge or strength. It was about adaptability, empathy, and the ability to connect with worlds and beings unlike any he had known. He looked at the softly glowing pipes stretching across the colony, humming gently in the night. A smile spread across his face. "I laid them," he whispered, "all of them, and somehow I think they understand me now." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "And you understand them," she said. "That is what matters most." Ethan leaned back, watching the alien stars twinkle above. The pipes pulsed rhythmically, a heartbeat of the colony itself, and he felt a sense of peace and accomplishment. He had come to lay pipes, but he had gained something far greater, a connection to life, to intelligence beyond his own, and proof that humans could rise to challenges no one thought possible. The night was quiet, the colony safe, and Ethan knew that the work he had done would be remembered, not just as an engineering feat, but as a testament to human ingenuity, patience, and courage. He had faced the unknown, adapted, and triumphed. And in doing so, he had proven that even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, humanity could shine brightly.